supplying battlefield to your fantasy lineups. Let's go! Bringing the lockdown, dropping bombs. We got the tight end of tackles, a quarterback's worst nightmare. Make some noise for the defensive dominator, IDP Hunter! And the ruler of the red zone, dropping dimes, running the offense like a boss. Big game, James! We bring the heat!
What's going on? This is the IDP Hunter podcast. I'm your host, the real IDP Hunter. I'm joined with Darryl tonight, otherwise known as the Hollywood Titan, over there at the IDP Nation. If you guys are watching an IDP podcast right now and you don't know who Darryl is, you're not playing IDP right. I'm going to tell you that right now. This guy's historic. This guy's a legend. What's going on, Darryl? Thank you for coming on the show.
What's going on, Steve? Thanks for having me, man.
Nothing much. For the audience at home, the audience that's on Spotify, the audience that is on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, we're over here on YouTube talking to Darryl. I just revealed the new intro for the upcoming season. Me and Jamie went out of his way and got that put together. Well crafted. I love that intro. You notice like all the intense parts, IDP or me, all the goofy parts are Jamie. The only thing I'm not sure about, I'm kind of warming up to, is a shirtless Myles Garrett there with the lightning storm. I don't know how I feel about that. But I'm accepting of Jamie's thank you, Jamie, for doing the video. I should leave it at that. So
yeah, you did a good job with it. I thought it was well done.
Real good. The music is him and his buddy Hoot, who does best ball. He'll be on the show too. He does the video, so you can check that out. Darryl, question for you. I've been grinding rookies out. I tell everybody, 205 IDP rookie profiles over at the Fantasy Six Pack. We did a whole draft guide series. Jorge Edwards, he called the bat phone, the red phone. I had to pick it up. It wasn't Commissioner Gordon. It was Jorge Edwards. He's like, buddy, can you come on and do some rookie magazines? So like throughout the week, you'll see the slot corners, the edge, the linebacker, defensive line. They've kept me busy. I've been working hard since coming back from the Senior Bowl. I know we talk from time to time. What have you been up to, my friend?
Just working on some draft dreamer articles, getting ready for the draft, getting ready for rookie drafts. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So like you said, the combine just finished up. So that's extra info that we've got to get added in there. So there's a lot going on right now before the draft gets here. And then you got free agency coming too. So,
I want to pay you a compliment. There's so many, I don't want to say bad profiles out there, but so many just like I'm reading some of these draft profiles online and I don't know what to do with it. Like the guy, he has fluid hips. He's a hard worker. He runs lateral behind the line of scrimmage. More talk about these hips. I'm like, I don't want to date the guy. I want to know how to play the guy. So you, my friend, are if not the best, fantastic, elite draft profile knowledge. And for the audience that doesn't know, you can just sign up and subscribe on your email. I get them all the time, and I'll get alerts. Draft Dreamer. I think the last one you did was Kyle Lewis, and it's broke down profiles of not just the top 10, not just the top 20, but everybody in this class.
Yep. Yeah, I just kind of write like I hear it in my head. So sometimes that don't always come out right, but that's just kind of, I write it how I would want to read it. So that's the best way I know how to describe it.
And that's why I want you to come on the show, because I'm like, I don't know how to reveal a top 48 with most people or just by myself. If anybody can do a 4-round mock draft, it would be Darryl. Now, Darryl, this is kind of an all-star draft. I got a couple people lined up to do this draft with us. I dispatched a couple people and they accepted our terms. Okay. So the way the draft, I only got 6 of us. So we're going to have 2 picks. We're going to do 12 picks per round. And we'll go as deep as 4, but I have a 1.1. It's going to be Joseph Harlow over at Fantasy Frames. He has a great draft guide. He just came out with a mock draft article, which is fantastic. 1.2 is going to be AJ Veal. He's the former Rider of the U.S. Army. He's also a Senior Bowl Scout. He's over in the IDP Center. He does a lot of videos with me. 1.3, you know him. I know him. My boy Mase Riney over there at USA Today. 1.4, yep. Jamie Perogue. He couldn't be with us today. He's over there doing podcasts on Going for Two Live. He's also at the Fantasy Six Pack now. But we gave him the 1.4. Darryl, your home team. You're gonna actually. I'm the home team. You're the guest, so we'll let you receive at 1.5, and then I'll take the 1.6. We'll each do 2 picks, and then we'll come back around to it. What do you think, Darryl? You think you were up for the task?
Yeah, sounds good.
Before we get into that, I just want to talk again. I'm so excited about the crossover we're doing. IDP Nation is a wonderful Discord, a wonderful site. The webpage is phenomenal. I just mentioned the draft stuff, but even behind that, you have a paywall, right? Set up with rankings and a lot of premium content, correct?
Yeah, if they go over to the Patreon, there's something for everybody, right? There's free stuff, there's pay stuff, and I cover everything from the NFL all the way down to high school because I've got some followers. They're deep into the devy draft, so they're trying to draft high schoolers in some of these leagues, so they want to know that stuff too. So I've got something for everybody.
Something for everybody. And if you like what he has to say tonight, maybe a little more, maybe a little more than you were expecting, right? We always have a good time we get together. So I'll kick it off. Joseph Harlow, he doesn't waste any time. The 1.1, he takes Arvell Reese, Ohio State linebacker edge. Now, Darryl, I'm going to ask you a question. He says he wants to be an edge of the combine, which makes me feel good. But whether you have him as a linebacker or an edge, it's a moot point right now. He ran a 4.46. That was the fastest time at the combine for edges and tied for the fastest with Sony Styles for linebacker. He also, those 10-yard splits and broad jumps, that's what I kind of like. I like looking at those broad jumps. I like looking at 10-yard, especially for edge players. His 10-yard was a 1.58. That was the fastest among the edges. And his broad jump was third. So I don't know how you see the profile, but, is this a 1.1 sure thing? Or, maybe conversation 2, maybe Styles or Reese. I don't know. How do you see it? How do you like the player?
Yeah, Reese is an athletic freak, man. He just tested completely off the charts, right? So, and I think a lot of it's going to depend on who drafts him too, right? So I'm kind of hoping he's there for when Tennessee picks it 4, for Robert Saleh, because I think he'd be a really good fit in their system, and they need a pass rusher. So I think a situation like that for him would be great.
Heck yeah. I think this draft class this year, it's loaded. Whether you play 1, 2, 3 scoring, whether you play big 3 scoring, I don't think it matters. I think linebacker and safety are going to be pushed off the board because we got plenty of edges in that category to kind of go through. I don't know how you see it this year, but I'm assuming you play in a lot of tackle-heavy leagues, right?
Right.
Yeah. So tackle-heavy. I think I would push up linebackers a little bit more than expected. But I would probably take Reese first. Reese or Styles, I think, is the pick. And on that note, the 1.2, AJ Veal selects Sony Styles out of Ohio State. You've seen that combine, right there, Darryl?
Yeah, that was insane what he did at his size. That vertical leap and that speed, and he's making a switch from safety. He played some safety when he started at Ohio State, so it's not like he's just a basic linebacker, right? He's got good coverage skills from his days as a safety, and they switched him up to a linebacker. So, I think this combine is going to shoot him up big time.
Yeah, I remember earlier in the year, people were like, "Oh, it's dealer's choice at linebacker." I always favored Styles as my LB1. He had 182 tackles in 2 seasons, but as you just said, the measurables put him through the roof. He had that 1.5 10-yard split, record breaking, that 43.5-inch vertigo. That was the best among linebackers. And his broad jump was elite too. 4.26 shuttle. That was the other one. And I don't know if you know this, he had a near perfect raw score with a 9.99. So I think He's the top player coming off the board, regardless of how you slice it. Hey, him and his brother, shout out to his brother too, running. I want those genes, huh? They just wake up in the morning and breaking records.
I just wonder, my only question with Styles is I wonder with this combine results that he's off the charts with, I wonder if that's just going to, in fantasy draft, if that's going to push him up so high that he's going to be overvalued. Like that's going to be, I think that's going to drive his stock up in rookie drafts. He's going to get taken a lot earlier than I think he normally would.
Yeah, that's true. And like, especially if you have like those startup dynasties, you know, people are like already like crowning him a top 10, top 15. Well, you're going to leave some good players off the board, you know? So I noticed too, Darryl, it's a good point you brought up. The last couple years, it takes the linebacker a little while to get started, don't it? Like maybe the second year. Jack Campbell, for example, you know, you don't see it. I want to say the first linebacker or the last linebacker I seen start and pop was Quay Walker. You know what I mean? Like they usually don't. Usually the life cycle of a linebacker, he's got to learn the NFL first and then adapt.
Right.
So 1.3 is Mase Riney here, and he decides to shock the nation, and he wants to take a safety at 1.3. He took Caleb Downs at Ohio State. What do you think of this player?
I love him as a player. I think he's the best pure defensive player in the whole draft. I mean, there ain't nothing on the field that he can't do for you, and that's in all three phases: offense, defense, special teams. Because I've been tracking him since he was playing at Mill Creek in Georgia. So, and that's how they used him. They used him in all three phases, and they were games where he would score in all three. He'd catch a pass, return a punt for a touchdown, and then have a pick six. So, athleticism is not his issue at all. His intelligence is not, because clearly he's smart, because Nick Saban let him start as a true freshman for Alabama and run the defense back there. So that tells you how smart he is and his football IQ, right? I saw something today that makes me question, and I've not really had time to look into it to see, because I'm sure there's going to be double checks and triple checks and rechecks on this, but he's supposedly has a degenerative knee issues. So if that holds up, I think that could hurt his draft stock a little bit. But if you hear stuff all the time in the drafts, but I think if teams check him out and they're good with him, you're probably getting a generational top player. I mean, he's that good.
Hey, Darryl, on that note, I'm on my phone and Gary Davenport, I don't know if you see it, Gary Davenport just tweeted, right? It starts with Greg Kellogg. To your point, Ohio State safety projected to be a top 10. Caleb Downs was flagged with a partially torn meniscus, ACL, right? I'm skeptical too, because where were the medical reports before this? If anything, he's a buy, right? May said the same thing. You said the same thing. Here comes Gary Davenport, IDP Godfather, leading the charge. This is what he tweeted just now, real time, guys. I call BS. Show me one reputable news outlet that has runs like this. If it were a thing, they would have already done it. And then he has a picture of the anchorman saying it's bullcrap. Courtesy. Hey, one thing about the IDP community, when one little snippet comes out, we all are all over it, are we not?
Yeah, they're like sharks in the water, man. They're circling.
I wouldn't really care in the rookie draft. I'm still taking them. I don't know if I'd take them top 3. You?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you would? Okay, I'm not sure about top 3, top 5. I would. You know, I'm more of a linebacker kind of guy. But I'll tell you about Caleb Downs. We know the analytics. You know, he's got 87.6 run defense, 89.6 coverage. But sometimes things don't always correlate when you're watching film. The one thing I know about Caleb Downs, I haven't been following him as long as you have, but he's a culture changer. He's a locker room changer. He's an impact player. We mentioned Nick Saban trusted him and, you know, had him start, and he ends up winning a championship there. Then Nick Saban goes and retires. What does he do? Transfers to Ohio State, changes that whole program around. National championship 2024. Maybe that's why Gary's coming in hot, because they're talking about his Ohio boys. I don't know.
Well, I think, you said he went to Ohio State when Saban retired. I kind of feel like getting him helped Ohio State move Sonny Styles from safety to linebacker. It just made that transition a lot easier too.
So Jamie's up next at 1.4, and I don't know if he's at home watching Jurassic Park right now, but he's all about those T-Rexes, those T-Rex arms, what have you. No, I'm just teasing. No. But anyway, at 1.4, he takes Ruben Baines. Miami Hurricane there, trying to rock the edges out here. 1.4 Ruben Baines. What you feel about that pick?
I like it. I think that's about where he's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he went one of the first three off the board, because I think a lot of people will draft off of name and college production. You know how that goes. They not as diehard as we are, so they just kind of go off of what they see and hear right before the draft, right? And I think if you're doing that, I think you're going to see him go probably top 3 in a lot of drafts.
When I'm looking at numbers, I love, again, I said this earlier, I love the way you write, Darryl, because you write the way I would like to read something. When I read a profile of yours, I feel like I understand the player. So I'll use a lot of snaps. I'll use a lot of analytics, just like, if the guy has a 90% cover grade, I know he's good, or vice versa. In regards to Bain, one stat I love to pull is true pass sets. For the audience that doesn't know what a true pass set is, it's not just a pass rush win rate. You could win, get a funky play, what have you. It takes away the play action, the quick drops, the RPO, all the funky stuff. This is just man on man, true pass sets. How does Bain do? Well, I'm going to tell you, 30.3% pass rush win rate on those true snaps last year alone. So again, Bain is a baller, next level. I mean, we don't know if they'll move him to interior or outside, but I don't really care about the length, arms, whatever. It's interesting. It's neat for those facts. They said the same thing about Parsons when he came out too. But this guy's game is straight bull rush, and that's why I love this player. But I think you're right. I think the top 4 are going to be in that order somehow.
Right. I saw an interesting stat on short arms, right?
Yeah.
I think he was under what? He was under 31 inches. He was 30 and 7/8 or something like that. I can't remember. But there has never been a player hit double-digit sacks under that metric.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wrote about that on the Fantasy Frames article. Not only that, they've never been Pro Bowlers. There are 3 exceptions to the rule. There's the Robert Mathises, the Parsons, and there's another guy, I'm not sure. But when you go below that arm length, nobody's hit the double-digit sack. That kind of worries me. So, Darryl, the question to you is, numbers are meant to correlate and fold. I'm wondering, this whole draft class is littered with guys like that. Maybe this is the year we see that change. Maybe we see a break. Remember, like 4 years ago, if you weren't a 250-pound linebacker, you weren't going to make it. They're all 225 now. All the best ones are 225. So maybe we're starting to see those numbers change. But that's a fascinating topic I want to know more about.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see how it plays out with him, because I think he has the talent and the skill set to do it, right? So, you mentioned earlier about him playing inside some. I think that's just an added asset to you, because if you're playing in sleeper leagues and you can play him as a defensive tackle or a IDL, and he's playing on the outside, that makes a huge difference for fantasy. So,
Darryl, you got the 1.5, no pressure. But, the commission is on the stage. The NFL draft's going. The clock is going. Darryl's on pick 1.5. Who's he taking?
Yeah. I kind of bounced back and forth because I really wasn't sure how the first 4 was going to play out. So I think I'm going to stay with what scores the most points in fantasy, and I'm going to stay at linebacker. So I think I'm going to take Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. Yeah. He can do basically everything that you need him to do. He can tackle, he can stop the run, he can drop in coverage. Whatever you need him to do, he can do it. So I think if Sonny Styles hadn't did what he did at the combine. I think Rodriguez was probably the first linebacker off the board at that point.
You know, I love you, Darryl, because that would have been my pick next at 1.6. That we think the same way. What I love about Rodriguez, I got to see him up close to the Senior Bowl. I was already kind of on him just to take. I had him as a top 65 prospect already. He is he's a turnover machine. He's mastered that pop, that peanut punch, I guess you call it. He mastered that. Now there is a lot of, you got a lot of smack talk this time of year, right? People be like, well, you know what? He might have had all these turnovers, but he didn't play elite competition. 13 fumbles in college, 7 were last year. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't the best competition, but you know where I seen him at? The Senior Bowl. Guess what he did in practice? I watched it with my own eyes. Fumble on the first play, fumble on like the 4th or 5th play, and then he ended the practice with an interception. Plus, he was a dog at the combine, was he not? 4.5740. That was 6th at the position. 1.63 splits, 38.5 vertigo. Those ranked 3rd behind Sonny Styles and Orr. 121 broad jump. Now sprinkle in a little bit of that All-American Butkus winning pedigree with the Ben Derrick Award. I don't know how you say it, but Ben Derrick Award. But that firmly pushes him into, I'm going to say, a real-life NFL Day 2 pick. But in our IDP drafts, I think he's going to go right around this place. The next couple picks, I just feel like that's what they're going to do. People are going to take linebackers. So, yeah, Jacob Rodriguez would be the way to go there, I think. I'm at 1.6. There's a lot of goodness on this board. I can go David Bailey. I can go uncork those defensive backs. I can do a lot of things here. But there's a player, I guess he's one of my guys, and he didn't do anything at the combine, so I guess you're going to have to take my word for it a little bit. But C.J. Allen. I'm going to take C.J. Allen. To me, C.J. Allen is one of the safest prospects in this whole entire thing. Just the way he plays, he's a hot name. I had him, as high as my top 2 or 3, and I'm getting him this cheap in a draft. He's going to be the guy for some team somewhere that plays 3 downs, green dot defender. And here's a stat for the audience. He played over 1,600 snaps in 3 years. He's only 20 years old. 88.6 run defense grade. Very reliable as a tackler. And you know what? It's not volume-based. 7.4% missed tackle rate over his career. So these 2 picks here, I totally agree with you. If it ain't Allen, it's going to be Rodriguez. That's just what I think. Any thoughts on Allen?
I was kind of wondering if Yeah, I would probably take Rodriguez. I was kind of wondering where
now.
David Bailey would fit in here, because I think there's going to be some leagues that he's probably going to get taken off the board here. So
I think that pick where Jamie had Bain or Bailey, I usually think that's where it is. But, being this is a tackle 1, 2, 3, I can find edges a lot of times, but can I find young volume-based linebackers? That's where I rationalized my decision. On that note, I don't know if you remember Johnny Carson. He had that skit with the envelope, how he can guess what's in the envelope. Maybe I'm showing my age here. Yeah. You do remember that? Carnac the Magnificent. Yeah. But I think you have a crystal ball, because Joe Lowe's got our 1.7 pick, and he actually just took David Bailey. Okay, Bailey is an incredible athlete. 81 pressures last year. What can you tell us about David Bailey?
Yeah, transferred from Stanford. Had started out good there. Come over to Texas Tech. I mean, their whole defense did, right? From front to back, seemed like they were at every position, and Bailey was one of the top power Big 12 competition. I know they questioned that a little bit, but he did what he was supposed to do. He dominated that level. So I think a lot of it's going to depend on where he lands. with what team he lands with. I see him more as a stand-up guy. Not saying he can't do it with his hand in the dirt, but I think he's more of a stand-up guy coming off the edge.
A lot of people before this combine, some people were hesitant on Bailey because of his run support, but that was kind of earlier in his career. Like you mentioned, Stanford, when he was at Texas Tech, he played the run. In fact, he was probably one of the better run defenders in their championship game. 74 pressures, I said. He tied the national lead in sacks with 14.5, and then he threw in another 31 QB hits. This is one of those where PFF's got it right, an elite 93.8 PFF grade. He's one of the top edge rushers, if that's what you want to take in the draft. And honestly, I think we're right. He may go ahead of Bain in a lot of places. I feel like he kind of slid here to Joe at 1.7.
Right. And I think it's just going to be a preference of who you like, right? Do you like Bain or do you like Bailey? And I guess that depends on where they both land too, right? So,
yeah. And in regards to that, like the top 7, I would love to be a top 7.
Yeah,
I'd love to be a top 7. 1.8, you start racking your brain a little bit. And that's the pick AJ Veal is forced with here at 1.8. He takes Anthony Hill Jr. Now, I don't want to shit on it, but it's coming, Darryl. A bathroom brew is coming. Anthony Hill is a top 3 analytical phenom. He did just blow up the combine. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to crap on another man's pick. But if anybody in this first round that we just talked about, and again, I don't know, but just based on what I've watched, it's a potential fool's gold because, his coverage grade is not all there. And what happens in the NFL if you can't cover? They pull you down on those key downs. You don't get the snaps like the rest of the guys do. So I'm just a little mindful. He's an elite tackler. You're going to see it on tape. His coverage grade is 60.1, barely cracks the mustard. It's 160th ranked amongst all other linebackers. The metrics at the combine were through the roof. We can talk about that, his exceptional size and splits. I'm just worried about taking a first rounder that may be a 2-down player next level. That's all I'm going to say on that. Again, I don't know how you feel. You may like him. The buzz around him, he's a top 75 selection.
Yeah, I mean, he did good at Texas, right? I mean, he did basically everything that they needed him to do. Of course, a little bit. He's only playing 2 downs.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And again, I don't know. But once we get 8 picks in, we're still talking about elite. He matches all the other guys analytically and, at the combine, what have you, in your underwear, the underwear Olympics, that's your player. But I have a couple other linebackers that I actually like better. And here's one coming up. Mase at 1.9. He takes Jake Galladay, Kansas State, the Kansas Jayhawks. Linebacker over there. Was a developmental prospect, Darryl. He started his career as a defensive lineman. Then he moved over to linebacker. But yeah, he's a very promising prospect. And, when I say developmental, I just mean like his game is still growing. But I see him as a 3-down player. The coverage is good. The tackles are good. Heck, I actually got him as my LB4. You know what's funny about him, though, Darryl? His coverage grade 77.5. Exceptional. 80%. What was I going to say? 80%, 80 last year, 77.5 overall. His run grade 90.6 is phenomenal. Probably his weakest part of his game is pass rusher, and that's where he played most of his career. That's just funny to me. His 4.62, that was 7th amongst his peer group. 135 vertigo, 9th. 1.63 splits, that's all right. 1.25, that was 3rd. Cone 7.2 was 3rd too. He's respectful all around. And you know what else? He's 6'4". Like, that's a developmental player in the making. I have him as a top 50. We're going to see, but I have him ahead of a couple other guys like Hill, what have you. But yeah, I like him as a pick. The next guy, kind of a similar prospect mode. This next guy, 1.10, Jamie takes Hosea Trotter over at Clemson. What are your thoughts on Trotter?
Yeah, I like this pick too. I think that's about where he's going to go because I think you're probably going to see a run on linebackers, especially when Styles and Allen and Rodriguez come off the board. People are going to start scrambling in fantasy drafts. So I like him. Tackling machine. Little bit shorter, I believe, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to pull up his numbers. A little bit shorter for a linebacker than most, but
yeah,
his overall game is really good.
With Trotter, right, he profiles as a middle box linebacker. I think people are concerned because his brother's the littler one. He's more of the bigger one, right? So people hear the name Trotter, they might be thinking the fool's gold before, but he produces well against the run. He's a brick wall when you watch film. 84 tackles, 13 of them tackled for loss, a couple sacks in there. He anchored that team that was a top 10 defense. The only concern with him, and I sound like such a hypocrite saying this, his coverage grade. Now, I know I just bagged on Hill for having poor coverage, but I think Trotter is the type of prospect that gets by close to the line of scrimmage. He's got that big body frame, but he's got suspect coverage of 47.9. For me, if I need next level and I need to coach somebody up, and he's got all the other accolades, I can move him around as sort of like a chess piece. But yeah, he deserves recognition. He's been in the top conversation for the Nagurski, the Ben Derrick, all these the Lombardi, all these major awards. So yeah, Trotter is going to be a hot name in drafts. I wish he would have did more at the combine. I know he blew it up as far as the bench press. Oh, by the way, you know what I learned on the last podcast, Darryl? Do you know they have a new bench press this year?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an electronic bench press. It measures by pressure. Yeah, AJ was telling us. I learned a lot about the combine, and it was just kind of neat. But yeah, he led the league and had the record with that. But yeah, that's all I got on 1.10. 1.11's coming back to you, Darryl. There's a lot of names on this board. Who you taking here?
A couple different ways I wanted to go. And kind of with how the board is falling. I'm going to take a chance here, and I'm going to go to Oregon. I think he's easily the second best safety in this class. But his career at Purdue, did a little everything for them, was a volume tackler, went over to Oregon, and they changed him around a little bit, right? They asked him, he didn't have to play down in the box as much as he was for Purdue. Of course, he had a much better team around him. He didn't have to. So long, athletic, that you can do everything with. You can drop him deep. Like I said, you can pull him up in the box, let him play there. Teams that are needing safeties, if they're not in on the Caleb Downs or are not high enough to draft him, the Enemann's going to be a good consolation prize and going to have a long career.
He had a position change, like you were saying, when he was at the other school. I think he played more free. When he ended up going to to Oregon, they put him in the box and he blew it up. He had 2 100 tackle seasons. So yeah, that's a guy. That's a guy of high interest there that I am kind of fascinated on as a prospect. And it's neat that you can go this late. And this is my point. Usually in our IDP, like 1, 2, 3 drafts, what do we get? 1 safety, maybe first round. You can go 2, maybe 3 here if you want to get cute with it. It's a pretty fascinating draft. If you're looking for, if you're in need of safeties, I see these guys having a long shelf life too. On that note, I got 1.12 here.
He ran faster than I thought he would too.
So it's funny that you made that.
Was impressive.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that whole – if you want to talk about his combine, 41-inch vertigo, that was second. Broad jump was third. But his speed, 4.35, impressive for 40. That was third best on the day for all those defensive backs. I have him firmly. So let me ask you this. McNeil Warren out of Toledo and then Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. Is that 2 and 3 for you? Do you see a world where they flip flop? Warren has 2, Thieneman has 3.
I think it's possible. I mean, I've got Thieneman at 2, and then I've got McNeil Warren at 3. Warren did pretty good as well at the combine, and he's so tall. He's like 6'4", something like that, and he's super long.
So believe it or not, my 1.12 was my DB2. I had Emmanuel McNeil Warren at Toledo, and Darryl, just how we're like-minded. I would have went Thieneman there too, just depending on how the board played out. Either one, those guys are in the same tier to me. They're interchangeable. I actually have Warren as my DB2. I know I'm in the minority. Just watching a lot of tape, watching a lot of film, and of course recency bias. Thieneman's going to blow this out of the water. But I think either one of them at the back end of your draft is a hell of a pick to make. Mm-hmm. The case on Warren, 61% of his snaps were played in the box in college. He has an elite 92 coverage grade per PFF. He has that, that interesting long career ahead of him as a really good defender who makes a lot of fumbles. You can see it on film. He has really good tape. But either one of those guys at the back end of your draft, I think that is a sneaky pick to make.
Yeah, I don't think you go wrong with either one of them. I just think Thieneman has a little more proven production against bigger competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to give him the advantage.
Let me read round 1 back to you. You tell me if you think – I think it was a pretty strong – round. I don't think there's any hits or misses here, but tell me what you think. 1.1 was Arvell Reese. 1.2 was Sony Styles. 1.3 was Caleb Downs. 1.4 was Reuben Baines Jr. 1.5 Jacob Rodriguez. 1.6 CJ Allen. 1.7 David Bailey. 1.8 Anthony Hill Jr. 1.9 Jacob Galladay, 1.10 Hosea Trotter, 1.11 Dylan Thieneman, 1.12 Emmanuel McNeil Warren on his heels. How'd you like that first round? You got any guys you're not sure about, you don't like, or hits, misses? What are your thoughts?
No, I actually liked the entire first round. I was kind of shocked with the Galladay at 1.9. That was a little – not that I didn't think he was deserving. I was curious to where he was going to land, and that right there kind of helps me, thinking if I'm going to get him in rookie drafts, I'm probably going to have to take him a little earlier than I expected because I think I cut out when he was on, but when you mentioned him. But he's like a poor man's Jack Campbell, right? Big, tall, lengthy linebacker, and can run. He's quite as like it.
Yeah, I agree. I like him. Hey, Darryl, I'm going to read you round 2. I'm going to put it all together here. Tell me what profiles you like, what stands out to you, okay? 2.1, Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh. Okay. 2.2, Cassius Howell, Texas A&M. 2.3, Akeem Mesidor, Miami. 2.4, Kendrick Falk out of Auburn. 2.5, Danny Dennis Sutton, Penn State. 2.6, Zion Young, Michigan State. 2.7, R. Mason Thomas, and the run continues on edge. 2.8, Malachi Lawrence, and 2.9, TJ Parker. Ended around has 2.10, Caleb Elam's Orem out of TCU. 2.11 has AJ Halsey out of Houston. And 2.12, Keyshawn Elliott out of Penn State. That's a good round, too. What do you like there?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I I thought TJ Parker might go a little quicker than that. The big edge from Clemson. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be intrigued with his size and what he done at Clemson. He's more of a 4-3 edge, right? He's
faded. You think he's faded? Because, like, if we would have did this 2 years ago, he'd probably been my top edge. You think he's faded because of how poor the Clemson team did this year? I don't know why he would go that late, but that's eye-popping too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's hurt a lot of them. AJ Halsey at 211, that's kind of intriguing too, right? I mean, that's really good talent back there because you've already took probably 1, 2, 3, 4 safeties, I think, went ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's another one, kind of like Parker a couple of years ago. You're probably taking him a lot earlier.
Yeah, there's a lot. This is just how deep this draft is. Couple things catch to me. 2.2, the Cassius Howell. I get it. He's the next man in that top edge elite. I'm looking at his profile. Yeah, short arms, a bit lighter. You know, out of the top 3 or 4 guys you mentioned, the Reese, the Baines, the Parkers, he's not as good as they are in run support. I have a take, and I'm not sure if it's going to translate, so I'm just asking. There's a chance he becomes a DPR, a daily pass, a pass rusher. First, obviously, if they can't stop the run, they'll have to take him out first couple downs. They're down. So he's probably a little more hesitant to me at 2.2. I get why people take him, but are you hesitant? What are your thoughts on Howell?
Yeah, I like him. He comes over from the MAC where he led, 3 years ago, he led the MAC in sacks, and then he makes the transfer to Texas A&M, and he kind of fell off, right? Well, they had a pretty loaded team in front of him too, so he was kind of buried on the chart. He was in a rotation, and then this year he jumps back out again with the big season in the SEC. So he showed that the step up in competition wasn't too much for him. I think it took him a year to work his way up the depth chart. But, I mean, this past season, he had one heck of a season for them as a pass rusher. So I'm with you. I could see him as a situational pass rusher just because he's not too terribly good against the run. But I think a player like him, that's what you're after, right? You're wanting somebody to get after the quarterback. So I know there's going to be concerns about the arms after the testing, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking because he went 2.2, but right in back of him was Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor checks out everywhere. He was a top 12 PFF pass rusher. And if you want to pull the stats, like if you want to put him head to head, because people think he's the Robin to Baines' Batman, if you want to pull the stats and look head to head, most major statistical categories, Akeem Mesidor was better than Bain. In fact, let me do that with you here, okay? So if you want to look at it, apples and oranges, Akeem Mesidor, Mesidor had tackles for loss 17.5. He had sacks 12.5, total tackles 63. Okay, if you want to look at Baines' numbers, 15.5 sacks. So Mesidor had more there. I'm sorry, tackles for loss 15.5. Mesidor had more there. Sacks 9.5. Mesidor had more there. Total tackles 54. So, like I said, Mesidor, balling out on the other side there kind of goes unheard of. He's my guy in these drafts because all these other edges, like the Falks, who have the height and the run, but not the pass oomph, they're going to go ahead of him. If you can get him early second, I'm probably going to drop the dime on him. I'm kind of hoping Howell will go first. That's why I asked you that. I don't know if you have hesitation on that, but I kind of do. Landing spots for a lot of these guys are going to play a huge part.
Yeah, that'll be huge. If it was me, I think I would take Mesidor ahead of Howell too. Because of the short arm thing, And like you said, Mesidor, he ate on the opposite side of Bain. So
the second round here is like the edge run round. You know, after Howell, then went Mesidor, then went Falk. Danny Dennis Sutton is putting on a lot of steam lately. The Zion Young, you know, Senior Bowl award, you know, winner. R. Mason Thomas is there. Now Mase is hot on Malachi Lawrence. Malachi Lawrence is a name a lot of people don't know. I was ballsy enough to put him in my top 12 because at the Shrine Bowl, he was down there making plays, making hits, all that kind of thing. Well, he just blew the hell up at the Combine. He had some numbers down there. People are probably going to have to take him in a second. Let me just throw some at you. 4.5240 at 253 pounds. His vertigo was 40 inches. His broad jump was 130. He's got elite size. And something I wrote on the Fantasy and Frames article a while ago, when the Shrine Bowl was going on, again, a lot of people didn't know who he was. He was throwing guys like ragdolls that were twice his size. So that may be a sleeper, a sneaky name after these top bills go off the board. But yeah, this is a hot draft all the way to 2.9. And then these last three picks, you mentioned Halsey, but I'm going to talk about 2.10 Orr and 2.12 Elliott. You like Orr?
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I like it. He's going to go a little earlier than most people expect.
Mm-hmm. It's the Combine. If you look at his Combine, he was like right there with all the big boys doing all the big boy stuff. 6'2", 234 pounds, 9-inch hands.
I like it.
Yeah, 4.47 seconds, second fastest, only behind Styles. The 10-yard split, which I look at, that was fifth. Vertigo was 40 inches, second. Broad jump, top 7. I like Orr in a sneaky second round, like tackle heavy leagues 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move him up, but I think that's the perfect place he falls. The perfect place he falls after all the edges. It's almost like mandated. You got to take those edges off the board first. You know what I mean? I like this whole round. I don't want to say that Keyshawn Elliott 2.12 is a bad pick because it's not. It's not a bad pick by no means. But with Elliott has some great numbers in front of him. He had 98 total tackles, but it's not the tackles on Keyshawn Elliott at Arizona State. It's not the tackles that tell the story. It's the quality of the tackles. So I said 98 tackles, 54 were solo. He had a whopping 14% of those tackles went for a tackle for loss. So he had 26 run stuffs. For the audience that doesn't know what a run stuff is, that's the tackles that go for negative yards before the line of scrimmage as opposed to getting drugged down the field. Elliott is somebody I'm hoping to get in the third because I'm cheap and I don't have high draft capital in a lot of these leagues. But PFF's on this guy too. PFF has the 80.4 pass rush, 79.3 run grade. I'm just kind of hoping he falls to the third. But yeah, that's a player that he's my guy at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think another thing we got to look at in rookie drafts is this is not the super best offensive class. You've got only a couple quarterbacks, which you're used to having 4 or 5 quarterbacks, which fills up. You've got receivers and running backs. It's not as deep, I don't think, offensively, which is going to push some of these defensive players up, I think, a little earlier than expected.
There's a couple guys that are probably earlier than expected. It's the great transition for round 3 because there's some guys here I like, but maybe they're 1 or 2 steps behind or like, they have this or they have that. But this next 12 is kind of exciting. Let me read you round 3. 3.1, Bryce Boettcher of Boise State, the linebacker. 3.2, Derek Moore, another edge, Michigan Wolverines. 3.3, Zakee Whitley, another safety going off the board. 3.4, Joshua Joseph out of Tennessee. 3.5, yet another safety, Kamari Ramsey, UCLA. And then this is kind of neat because this is where you start to see the DT run. And again, I don't know which one's going to hit, but one of them's going to hit. 3.6 Peter Woods out of Clemson. 3.7 Caleb Banks out of Florida. 3.8 Lee Hunter. 3.9 Deontay Lawson. 3.10 Torian York out of Texas A&M. Boy, how the mighty have fell. 3.11 Jay Sean Barham. I don't know if you guys view him as an edge. I view him as a linebacker. And in 3.12, shock of the nation, Aiden Fisher, Indiana Hoosiers championship winning team. Aiden Fisher at 3.12. I know a lot of people like him, even though he doesn't have the size metrics. But 3.12, that's a hell of a way to land. Out of that third round, who you like, who you don't like?
Yeah, so I play a lot of position-specific leagues, so you have to start defensive tackles. You have to start corners. I know most people don't. They play what I call basic positions. You start defensive lineman or interior defensive lineman, whatever. So I was kind of curious to where he was going to go in this. But 3.6 for Peter Woods, I think if you're playing in a position-specific league, I think you're fixing to get a steal. And even if you miss on him, this class is so deep at that position, I think you can get some great value behind him. Like Caleb Banks, I think, is a good one. I have some questions about him because he was hurt. I missed some time, but he played against some great competition in the SEC. Lee Hunter, he's a big boy, Lee Hunter is. He takes up some space. And then there's some other defensive tackles that you didn't even mention that round. So it'll be curious to see how those play out. But I think if you can get Peter Woods in the third round, fourth or fifth round, if you're doing offense with that, I think you're getting great value because he's been a star, kind of like Caleb Downs. He's been a star since high school.
I love how you think because, like, you took the third round. You're picking apart that middle round. I'm going to go pick the top. 3.1, Bryce Boucher, Boise State. I got to interview him down at Senior Bowl. He looked really good. He looked really good as like a third down kind of player. I think people aren't sure because he got drafted for the Houston Astros. So I think people aren't sure if he's going to play football, he's going to play baseball. I mean, the smart play probably be football, right? Bigger payday. I don't know. The other name I like here, and I think I'm in the minority on this one, I like the 3.2 Derek Moore. I know people have problems with his film, but listen to this resume. His resume is impressive to me. You know, he went down to Senior Bowl. I watched him win one-on-ones against elite talent. But here's a fun fact for you, Darryl. In 2 back-to-back seasons, Moore produced 33.3% pass rush win rate on true pass sets. You know how I like that. A 4.27 sack rate, and a 17.52 pressure rate. So he is elite in that regard. You know, fantasy and IDP game that we play, guys like this produce numbers. So I like the first two. You mentioned the middle. And go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. I think the Aiden Fisher is interesting too at 312.
Whew. Yeah. Fisher's interesting. I'll get to him in a second. I'm kind of 312. I said how the mighty have fallen. 310, excuse me. Torian York. In the beginning of this process, his analytics, his numbers are top 3, 4, right neck and neck with those guys. Him being smaller bumped him down, and in his combine bumped him down. Yes. So that's a player that's like rapidly falling. And you mentioned Fisher. That's a Mase guy too. Mase loves Fisher. You can get.
Yeah, I think that hurt him well. But he's a ball player, though.
Oh, my God, is he a ball player? You can get volume this late in drafts this year. The case for Fisher, and actually, you know, there's another guy coming up. But yeah, he had 323 tackles in 3 seasons. Another name I'm going to give you, when we get to the 4th round here, to start the 4th round, 4.01 is Red Murdoch out of Buffalo. He's another one of those producing guys. He's another one of those guys that, you know, he'll get you numbers. He profiles as a green dot too, 323 tackles in 3 seasons. The problem is, you know, maybe his coverage. I don't know. I'm sorry. I was talking about Fisher and Murdoch. They kind of go together to me. Murdoch is 200. Red Murdoch has 215 tackles in 2 seasons. But like I said, he doesn't prospect as a coverage player, so he's probably going to be 2 down next level. I don't know what it is about Buffalo, Darryl. Buffalo just seems to like produce linebackers like Sean Dolick the year before or what have you, right? It's just like I know in like, remember the Falcons had the run and shoot, or like in basketball, some teams just have that go, you know, like they pad their stats super, super well there. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just curious.
I mean, if you're playing IDP devy, you love it, right? Because that's scoring you major points in college fantasy. But I'm pretty sure he led the country in forced fumbles too. So I mean, he's a turnover impact type player. I'm curious to how that'll translate to the next level, because that's going to be a pretty good jump for him in competition,
right,
going from Buffalo to the NFL. But we've saw that work out before, right? Khalil Mack was come from there. So
in this final round, you said it, jump in competition. There's a lot of names in here. Just I don't know how it translates. I have questions on these names. In the 4th round, we're going to start with Red Murdoch, followed by 4.2 Romeo Height, 4.4 Davian Sorey Jr., the Florida Gator, the linebacker, excellent blitzer on side there. 4.5 Jason Kilgore, another safety at South Carolina. 4.6 Bud Clark, TCU, another safety. 4.7 Jennison Smith, another safety, followed by him. 4.8 Bishop Fitzgerald. 4.9 the artist formerly known as Harold Perkins Jr. You know, we're going to have a little talk on that. 4.10 sack leader in the country, Nadeem Tucker, how the mighty have fallen. 4.11 Lander Barton, brother of Cody, former plays tight end snaps, very athletic, all the way at 4.11. And then I'm going to leave 4.12 blank, Darryl, because I'm sure you can come up, or I'll come up with a sleeper at the end. We'll leave that ambiguous. But out of those 11 names, the Murdoch, the Height, the Sorley, the Kilgore, Clark, Smith, Fitzgerald, Perkins, Tucker, Barton, anybody you're taking a shot on, anybody you like, does one of these names not look like the other?
I mean, if I need a linebacker, I'm probably looking at Lander Barton. Actually, there's 3 right here together that just kind of stood out this round. So you said we talk about Perkins here in a minute.
Yeah.
Nadeem Tucker at 410. I kind of like him. If I'm looking for a dart throw as a pass rusher, I kind of like his game. Now, again, like you said a minute ago, step up in competition, right? This is a big step up for him. But I could see him being a situational type pass rusher in the right situation. So, somewhere like Baltimore would be a good fit for him, because I think they'd be able to utilize him really well if they want to do. It's funny that all 3 of those were back-to-back.
I know, right? Sorey's kind of interesting to me. I was kind of on him early on in this process, depending how you feel about him or not, whatever. But like he's a blitzing player, and he stepped his game up, come to the NFL. So that's one that I'm kind of interested in. Another name in here, we were talking about what was his name there? You said Barton. He's super athletic. He plays offense, plays defense, played some tight end, played some basketball. Just his film, I don't really see one thing or another how he pops. So 4.11 I struggled with. I like him and Justin Jefferson as just another body, another linebacker you can kind of put in there. Genesis Smith as a safety, he moves really well. He moves really well analytically and coverage and all that. He can be an all-pro player next level. Just he doesn't tackle like the top elites. So I see that as a developmental player. I'm a little hesitant on Nadeem Tucker You just said it with the MAC. I can't think of one elite offensive lineman, that he's played against. So some of that is probably padded stats, what have you.
He's a project player if you're really looking at him.
What's that?
I said he's a project type player if you're looking at him.
Yeah, a lot of these guys in this round are projects. Perkins, some people have him high, some people have him low. I just feel like that's a bust, but I would take a chance 4th round. The case of Perkins, he's a former 5-star recruit. A lot of people say he's not the same player since the 2024 injury. But if you want to actually go before that, I think the problems were before that. I think it was when he had the position change. He had a 21.7% missed tackle rate, 13 of those bad boys in 2025. He ranks poorly amongst linebackers, another 51.7 coverage grade. And, his coverage is 633rd out of 804 linebackers. So my problem with Perkins, he profiles as a coverage linebacker that can't cover, and he can't get to the quarterback, and I don't trust him as a tackler. So where does he play? He's kind of positionalist to me. I would skip over Perkins. Give me the Orrs, like I said earlier. Give me the Daniels, who else did we say this podcast? The Lewises. That's another good name. Lewis. Yeah. Sorley. I kind of like Sorley. Like I said, on him, he doesn't maybe have the tackles like the top guys. He had 81. No, that's not bad. 99 the year before. But Xavier Sorley has the elite pressure rate, 37 pressures in the last 2 years. He gets knocked down these lists, but I think I'd rather take a shot on those 5 guys. Hell, you can throw Jack Kelly on this list too. He's another blitzer that I kind of like. He didn't even get drafted yet. But yeah, there's a lot of players that I think I would take over Perkins. I think it took us all the way to go to 4 rounds when I identified a bust. You know what I mean? So that's the only one I'm not sure about. Thoughts?
Yeah. But he's fell a long way, like you said. He was a 5-star recruit, and everybody was looking at him the first couple of years, and then the position change, that really did a number on him. And he just seems like he never recovered from that.
Hey, this last pick, this 4.12, I just want to do it with you as an exercise. I like the Justin Jeffersons of the world. I like the Jack Kellys of the world. Do you have a flyer? Do you have somebody better out there? I mean, these guys took 5 or 6 safeties, so that leaves us a lot of room for edge, another defensive tackle, maybe linebacker. So you can kind of throw anything in here, but I'm so excited about this draft class. I would love to have a league where I just took nothing but defenders this year, but I don't. I usually take those offensive guys up the board first, but I'm excited to have any one of these guys up until 3rd middle round when I start having to pick at it. But yeah, anybody to close out the list, Darryl.
I think if you're looking at pick 48, a couple of names we hadn't mentioned is maybe at edge, Caden Curry from Ohio State. Or if you're looking at linebacker, maybe Eric Gentry from USC. I think Gentry's going to be intriguing just because of his size.
Oh my God, what is he? 6'6", I think he is. Somebody's got 6'6".
He's huge. He's tall.
Oh my God, a developmental prospect. Yeah, that's like a real life Madden player that I'd love to have.
All right.
I would love to build a character with him. Curry's kind of neat too. He's got the 18.2 pass rush, 18.6 stop rate. I just think, again, good production is what you want to see out of him. The pass rush maybe needs a little polish, but yeah, you're right. Pick 48. I kind of like that. I might just go after Curry at pick 48. Yeah. Now that I think about it, that's a good one.
And he was kind of buried at Ohio State. He had all that talent in front of him for years, so that kind of held him back a little bit too.
Heck yeah. I don't have any other my guys this episode. I think we're kind of wrapping it up. Do you have any guys you want to give a shout out, love to? I know you play in some deeper contests. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, maybe I was surprised with all the safeties we called off that Cole Wisniewski. His name wasn't mentioned. the transfer from North Dakota State that went to Texas Tech. So I think he's a good player that if you're in a super deep league and you're looking for a safety, he's going to be a good player because he's tall too. Tall, playmaker. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go with it too. Like I said, this year is a little bit unique regardless of your scoring. I think it starts with Reese. And then after Reese, you're gonna have players, linebackers and safeties, and just mix it all in. If you're one of those teams that needs a defender this year, you're in luck because they're all over the place.
Yep. Yeah, they're everywhere, and you can get some value kind of late too. Seems like.
Oh yeah. It looks like a lot of late. I know people are talking about moving up their IDPs. I'm like, I think I want to go later. I think I want to pick up some 7th round picks and some combo leagues and see what I can do with that. Because like I said, there's so many guys or Sorleys, those kind of guys are going to pop late in whatever. I pulled up the IDP Nation. You guys are on Apple Podcast and Spotify too, right?
Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, basically anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Heck yeah, YouTube. And like I said, we're going to do some cross-training. You'll be on my show. I'll be on your show whenever we need some good filling. Also, guys, check out his rankings. At the very least, go over there, subscribe, get on the Discord. I'm over to Discord, too. We got some good guys over there. Thank you for letting me a part of your Discord. And that Draft Dreamer profile, if you guys want to learn IDP and understand how these players move and whatnot, Darryl is a great resource. And Darryl, I never asked you this. How long have you been doing this?
Fantasy, I've been doing probably 20 years. IDP around probably 12. And it just kind of started because I started playing fantasy and started doing a little write-ups for my fantasy home league. And they're like, man, you should do something with this. And that's kind of how it all got started. I
started in 2003 IDP. I was like you. I started whatever. So between the two of us old geezers, we're not old geezers in life. There's 50 years of IDP experience out there. If you guys want to learn the game, and I say learn the game the right way. If you're playing with like 4 IDPs, you're not really doing it. You got to get an interior lineman or a cornerback or something and adjust. That way you can play out all these guys. But yeah, please check out IDP Nation. Check out Draft Profiler. Check out Hollywood Titan, a.k.a. Darryl, whatever he is up to. Darryl, from here, what you got going
on? Just working more on the Draft Dreamer stuff. There's a lot of that, and we're getting ready for free agency, so there'll be a lot of stuff there, and that's pretty much it. Just doing a lot of off-season stuff, working on rankings and for college, and if you play IDP Devy, I got those coming out. I do a top 400 every year, so it gets pretty in-depth.
Heck yeah. So be on the lookout for that. I think this completes my rookie episode. I've done so much rookie stuff the last month. I'm going to move on, do a little dynasty, do a little best ball in the next couple of months, relax a little bit, see how the free agency kind of drops. So best ball looks good to me. I don't got nothing else. I thank you again, Darryl. And for the audience at home, talk hard, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for having me.